but yes, warmly welcome everybody to this online conference in the name of Celia International. I really am happy to greet you all here. Too bad it's not live in person because this gives a special touch, but anyway, we have an opportunity at least to meet like this online and share our faces, our voices, and our knowledge. So we are happy that anyhow this situation in the world is as it is. We are here to, to give it a push and to see what we can do in it, especially now in this Slovenia-Austria business meeting. And with us, there are 4 special guests. I would like to introduce them. And 5, I'm sorry. Yes, 5 guests. So we have Mr. Wilhelm S., General Manager of Advantage Austria in Ljubljana. You can say hello. Yes.
Good morning. Dobro jutro.
Great. Then Mr. Rudolf Otto Mark, Director and owner of Mark Company. Hello, Mr. Mark. Hi. Okay. Vice, co-founder and sales principal who helps software and services companies to sell. You can also just read.
Good morning, everybody. Dobro jutro.
Great. Hello. Mr. Mario Oraše, business consultant and investor. Hello? Yes, we have the hand. Great. And Mr. Jernej Dvorčak from company Babek, Carinthian Agency for Investment Promotion and Public Shareholding. Hello, Mr. Dvorčak.
Good morning.
Good morning. So, before we start, and I hope that everybody who joined us today is ready to receive some good and useful information in this hour and a half. We will have you on mute, but when you are open and free to unmute yourself when you have a question, just raise your hands. I will see you, and we will try to interact with our guests as much as possible online. And yes, I would also ask Primož, the head of Celia International, to say a few words before we start.
Okay. Hello, also from myself. Ein herzlich willkommen. Dobrodošli vsi na našem srečanju. I hope that you will find some reliable information about the Austrian and Slovenian market. So I wish you a pleasant time with us, and I just want to start now, Andrea, with our guests. So please continue. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Primož. And before I invite our first guest to share his knowledge with us, I would like from all of you just say maybe you can show from 1 to 5 on your hand. How are you feeling today or right now? Are you fine? This is 5. Are you special? I mean, if you're fine, then it's 3. If you're super fine, then it's 5. It's 5? Okay, cool. Ooh, we have 1-6. That's a special one. Okay, I hope it stays like this till the end. So I will ask you again this at the end. Great. Okay, then let's start with our first guest. I would like to, Mr. Wilhelm Nest, I would like to invite you to take your stand here on this online stage. And okay. Yes, maybe you can shortly introduce the Advantage Austria.
Yes, I will. Good morning again, and thank you very much to Celia International for this interesting initiative, this Austrian-Slovenian conference. I'd like to open my presentation.
I just sorry, Mr. Ness, but I will just invite people to mute yourself So that we don't... Yeah. We have voices behind, so please, if you can mute yourself, then it would be good. Okay, thank you.
Okay, I would like to open the PowerPoint presentation. Can you see it now? I hope so.
We can see it.
Yeah, that's perfect. So thanks very much for giving me the opportunity to introduce our activities on the Slovenian market. I would like to, does it work or not? Oh yeah, like this, okay. I'd like to speak in brief about the importance of the foreign trade for Austria, as I'm the institutional speaker. Then I'd like to just say a few words about the organization that I work for. Then let's have a look at the bilateral relations between our two countries. And last but not least, I'd like to present the services that my office here in Ljubljana provides to Austrian and Slovenian companies. Well, Austria is kind of depending on exports. Like for Slovenia, for Austria, exports are very important. We have exports of goods worth about 150 billion euros. But that's the good thing for you, as Slovenian companies. We import even more goods than we export. So there are good market opportunities in Austria. And in addition to exports, of course, we also have a quite good exchange of services with the world. I will speak about our trade with Slovenia a little bit later. Austria does 70% of its foreign trade only with the European Union. And our main export goods are machinery, about 1/4 of our exports, followed by chemicals, metalware, motor vehicles, which is mainly components, food and drink. And in terms of services, tourism, as had been mentioned before by one of our guests, is very important for Austria. Other services are, of course, transport services and consulting, telecommunications, IT. The organization that I work for is called Advantage Austria. Advantage Austria is part of the Austrian Federal Economic Chamber. Headquarters are located in Vienna. We have a very close cooperation with the regional chambers of our 9 provinces. The chamber in Klagenfurt, Zelovec, or in Graz. And then there are about 100 offices worldwide in 70 countries. And one of these offices is located in Ljubljana. And this is the office I have the honor to head for the upcoming years. I started to work here only in October. But I've had already some time to get familiar with my new job, and I've already noticed that it's a very busy place, although we have got the Corona crisis. And it's very interesting here. Altogether, there are about 60,000 exporting companies in Austria. 24,000 are also our clients, and I would say that the office in Ljubljana has about between 5,000 or 6,000 companies with whom we have been in touch over the last years. What can companies expect from Advantage Austria? Well, first of all, we are there for the Austrian companies if they've got inquiries, if they want to know something about the country, if they want to get in touch with Slovenian companies. So this is something where we react, but we are here also to have a network with Slovenian companies and to learn about the business opportunities. So we actually inform Austrian companies about the business opportunities, we write market reports, and we communicate those opportunities through traditional and the social media. And the important point which companies appreciate the most are the platforms, which means that we bring Austrian companies over on a trade mission or whatever, just to come together with Slovenian companies and do business. We have a very intense exchange of goods and services with Slovenia, about a trade volume of 5.5 billion euros. This makes Slovenia, let's say, one of the 10 most important business partners. And I think we are ranking number 3 or 4 for Slovenia. Exports of goods are 3.2 billion, and this gives about 1,900 euros of imports of Austrian goods in Slovenia, which is one of the highest values if we compare imports to foreign countries internationally. Austria is also in a very good position regarding foreign direct investment in Slovenia. We are actually number 1. There are more than 1,000 Austrian subsidiaries. You might know some of them. You might do business already with some of them. And the Austrian subsidiaries here employ more than 20,000 people. And I will talk about the reasons for that in a minute. And the value of all the foreign direct investment from Austria is about 3.5 billion. So this is a quarter of, there was a slide later then that will show this aspect. And there are about 25,000 Slovenian citizens commuting to Austria on a daily or weekly basis to work in Austria. Austrian companies invest in Slovenia and have a production site here because there are several strong arguments. First of all, we have the well-trained and very reliable workforce. Slovenians speak foreign languages, have great skills. Slovenia, furthermore, is a very important logistic hub, and the country is a hub for the other ex-Yugoslav countries. And of course, Slovenia has got a very good reputation about quality of life. If we speak about logistics, of course, the road and railway structure is very important for Austria, but also the Port of Koper. The Port of Koper handles about 21 million tons of goods per year, and a third of that, which is about 7 million, is just Austrian goods that are exported or imported via Koper. To come back to the reasons for investment in Slovenia, first, of course, as I already said, the skills and qualifications of the workforce. Then Slovenia is a very strong country regarding technology and innovation. And companies also do research and development here. As I said, it's a very good logistic hub for doing business, especially in Southeastern Europe, and has got a very strong infrastructure. This is the slide that I was looking for before. So you can see that Austria is the most important investor in Slovenia, followed by Luxembourg, Switzerland, Germany, and Italy. These are just some of the Austrian subsidiaries in Slovenia. We've got companies from all the industries, either production, trade, banks, insurance companies. So wherever you go, you will find also Austrian companies. They are located all over the country with a strong focus on the areas of Ljubljana and Maribor and Murska Sobota. And most mother companies of the subsidiaries are located in Vienna, Carinthia, and Styria. So here I can show you a picture of my team. Advantage Austria Ljubljana was founded almost 30 years ago. So next year also our office will celebrate 30 years. We are a team of 9, and we are mostly geared to promote Austrian business in Slovenia, but of course we are also here to help Slovenian companies if they're interested in the Austrian market. And we're not only in charge of promoting Austrian business in Slovenia, but also in Albania and Kosovo. Austrian companies actually get advice if they want to enter the market, but we help them when they're here already doing business, if they need some troubleshooting, if they search a new distribution partner, but also if they want to invest in Slovenia. As already told you, we inform the Austrian companies about the Slovenian market, either via traditional channels like a website or direct mailings, but also in the social media. And the important point is that we organize not in Corona times, but until last year, the office organized about 30 events, both in Slovenia and Austria, bringing together Slovenian and Austrian business people, for instance, at trade shows where Austria would organize a group exhibition. We would also organize conferences, networking events, trade missions, B2B meetings, or informal Austrian business cycles. These are...
Mr. Nest?
Yes.
Just one interruption. We have one question. Maybe I see one participant raise hand, and if he can jump in right now, or you would prefer to...
With pleasure.
Okay. So we have Matthias Gorjup. Matthias, you can ask the question now because I see you raised hand. But you need to unmute yourself.
It was a mistake, I think. I didn't want to, so I'm sorry.
Maybe you can a question later on. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I'm almost about to finish my presentation. These are the industries we put most focus on. So it's logistics, automotive, and metalworking, pharmaceuticals, medtech, and of course everything that has to do with energy efficiency and environmental protection, IT, gaming, smart cities, and blockchain. And here you can see pictures of some of our events. So usually we bring together quite a good number of people, and we have just got the results of our annual survey among Austrian subsidiaries in Slovenia, which will be published later than in December. And what Austrian subsidiaries like most about Advantage Austria Ljubljana is the networking. So they really appreciate that we organize get-togethers where they can network among themselves and Slovenian business people. So, and that's a list of events that we plan for next year. Let's say until end of April, everything will be digital. And after that, we hope that there will be a vaccination available and it will be able again to meet people face by face. I invite you to go on our website. It's brand new. There was a relaunch only 2 weeks ago. So you can find profiles of Austrian companies there. You can search according to industries. We also put business opportunities there if a certain company wants to have an advertising there. And please get in touch with us if you have got questions and if you need help with the Austrian market. Thank you very much.
Can I place a question maybe?
Yes, of course.
Dear Mr. Nest, nice to meet you. My name is Vladimir. I'm from Celje, Slovenia. You've mentioned some sectors which you support. I would like to ask, maybe is there a construction sector also? Because you mentioned the final goal as smart cities, and I'm a representative of a company that can make with a new technology a smart city without waste, very efficient, much quicker, and also very simple. This is 3D printing technology. Would you like maybe to tell me, is there a possibility for us to connect with some company or investor to make such a project like Smart City in Austria? Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for the question. Of course, smart cities is a strong industry in Austria, and but let's say we always have to look at each case individually. So I suggest, well, I think that there should be some market for your product, but we would have to look at it really on a case-by-case basis.
Okay, then what do you suggest? Can we send you something, or you can connect us with one person to okay, I will ask then Miss Cepuș for your contact. Thank you very much.
Perfect. Very good.
Thank you. Thank you for the question. I pretty much will now pose another question, and then we will move on.
Hello, Mr. Nest. From your point of view, what are the main advantages of business environment in Slovenia for Austrian companies?
Yeah, as mentioned before, there is quite a couple of strong arguments for being here. From the point of view of somebody just doing business, well, it's a new country. We have very similar legislation, which makes it easier, of course, to do business here. The Slovenians speak foreign languages, which also makes it easier to do business. If somebody wants to invest in Slovenia, we really appreciate the qualifications of the workforce, the technological level, and as I mentioned, also the position of Slovenia in the heart of Europe, like Austria. Slovenia is a great hub also for doing business with Southeastern Europe. So on the one hand, we do business with Slovenia, but also with Southeastern Europe. And yeah, the port of Koper, of course, is also a very, very strong point for Austrian companies.
Okay. Okay. Shall we now proceed with Mr. Rudolf Ottomark? Hello, Mr. Rudolf. Congratulations on the venerable anniversary of your company. In a few days, you will celebrate 100 years of cooperation. So, congratulations. And,
yeah.
Could you describe your company in short time and then your business experience in Slovenia? You have also subsidiary in Slovenia and Ptuj, and you are cooperating a lot with Slovenian market. Your microphone, you must turn on microphone.
Dobar dan, ne govorim slovensko. Slovensko je zelo težak. I tried it, but I get some course, some school, some training, but I didn't succeed. So sorry to approach you now in English language. Yeah, thank you for the congratulations to our 100th anniversary. We are family business. I am generation 3. Meanwhile, my daughter, generation 5, generation 4 will take over the company in the next year, and also the generation 5 is already born. So hopefully we are going for the next 100 years. Mark is a family business. We are working in the automotive industry, and believe it or not, everybody of you is using car, I think so, and everybody is using in his car around 200 small precise parts which Mark either in Austria or in Slovenia did produce. You can find these parts in any brake system, you can find it in the injection system, you can find it in all the airbag components. So it's a lot of parts which make the car running. We have 3 locations. Our base location is in the middle of Austria, in Spital. This is in not the Spital in Carinthia, which you may be familiar. It's in Upper Austria, close to Linz. And we have the location in Ptui since 4 years now, and we just founded a new factory in China, in Nantong, close to Shanghai. We employ around 550 people. 400 of them are located in Austria, 130 in Ptui, around 130, and 20 people, we will start with them in China now. Our turnover the last year was 72 million euro, and we meanwhile make a nice portion of this turnover in Ptui. I think it's this year it will be 13 or 14 million euro, which we are producing in Ptui now. Ptui is, we started in Ptui, in Slovenia 20 years ago. I met some guy who offered me some, let's say, cheap work for some simple things. And we followed this advice, and we did make a cooperation for several years. But at the final end, I found out that this is not the way to be successful, because there is always somebody cheaper. And therefore, I tried to convince him to train his people better. And at the final end, I bought this company, and I bought then a big building in Ptui with 10,000 square meters, and then we settled in Ptui, and we have been starting very successfully in doing a lot of high-tech operations, as well as simple operations, where we also still using the cheap labor costs in Slovenia compared to Austria. My first experience in Slovenia is a very funny one. It was not the words Dober dan or Hvala, which I learned first. It was the word Davčna številka. Because I learned that without a Davčna številka, you are nobody in Slovenia, and it's a must to start at the finance administration. It was funny for me, because this is not yet the situation in Austria. We are located in Ptui. This is Steierska. Steierska is like the Austrian word Steiermark, a region where a lot of German is still spoken. And I think from my 130 people in Ptui, more than 100 can really fluent speak German, and I think all of them can understand me. So this is a very good experience, and it's a real. It drives the cooperation very much, because communication is one of the most important things.
Okay. Could you describe in short what are the advantages and disadvantages of the business environment in Slovenia?
Yeah, I started with the Davčna številka, and I think this is also something which is following all the rest of my working career in Slovenia. There's a lot of bureaucracy, much more than in Austria. Even the laws are similar. There is still more bureaucracy around in any field. For instance, if we go for a loan to the bank in Austria, then we have a contract which might have 2 pages. I think in Slovenia it's 30 pages. So this is just to show you and to compare how much the bureaucracy in Slovenia is. Next point, which is a little bit disadvantage, is that the people in Slovenia are not so open for foreign investor, I think an entrepreneur is not so well accepted than maybe in Austria. I'm used as a family business since 100 years now, that my reputation in this area is high, and I know that the people trust me, and I know that I can trust my people. And this trustness to install in a Slovenian company is takes quite a long time. I think now we are on a good way, and the people do believe that we are not just talking, we are also doing the things like that. This is one point, and the other disadvantage might be I would say the confidence of each of the people there. They are more orientated in getting directions than working from their own out of their own motivation. This is also a difference between Austria and Slovenia. So far, I learned that.
Where do you see the opportunities for Slovenian companies, maybe in Austrian market? You have a lot of experience, so you have some advice for Slovenian companies.
Yeah, I just talked now about the disadvantages, and for the opportunities are for sure the advantages. As
okay, sorry,
Mr. Nest, no. As Mr. I will answer the opportunities now. As Mr. Nest already told, one of the strengths of Slovenia is the well-trained people, is the reliability, and is also the language. Is not only German, but if the people don't speak German, maybe in the Ljubljana region, then they are speaking English. And this is a must for approaching to another country. I guess that there is so many because of this situation that the income level in Slovenia is far deeper than in Austria. There are opportunities in every field. For sure, there are opportunities in every business field. You just have to, let's say, to enter the border. My experience was when I asked some companies which worked in Ptuj for, let's say, for reconstructing the building and for whatever things. I invited them to come to Austria and to make this job also in Austria. They denied and said, no, it's too far away, and I don't know, and so they are not confident enough to go this small step over the border. It's just a very small step, and to make an approach to Austria. I think there is not one business alone. It's all the business fields around. They have a big chance in Austria, as long as you are talking and organizing really quality. Austria is very quality orientated, and if your goal is to make really quality work, then you're welcome in Austria on any position. And you need to, I would say, you need to walk what you talk. This is the most important thing. That means if there is a contract, and even it's not really a contract in Austria, then you can be sure that an expert company will do a brilliant job. And this is what the Austrians are also expecting from Slovenian companies. And I guess this can be done because there's a lot of knowledge and a lot of reliability in the Slovenian companies, and the people are brilliant.
Okay, thank you. For now, just wait with us to the end conference if there will be any question for you, Mr. Rudolf. May I ask you, I see here on the participant list that also Peter Kokal is also with us from Haperbergs. He's a Slovenian entrepreneur. He's not a speaker, but he is our guest, and he has also a company headquartered in Vienna. What are your expression about the Austrian market? Could you explain in a few words, maybe? Microphone.
Yes. Hello. Thank you for the word. I agree with Mr. Rudolf. in Slovenia it's more complicated to do something than in Austria. But when you start working in Austria, and if you work very well, the people accept you and you are welcome. Like that you live in Austria or Slovenia, the business is business. You must work great, and this is the right way, I think.
Okay. Can you go through, Andrea?
Yeah, I will jump in with a question for Mr. Mark, because we are talking now about, collaboration and people. And I want to ask you, Mr. Mark, what is the most important thing that you are searching for in people that work for you or with you as employees, even if they're coming from Slovenia or Austria? Microphone.
I always try to convince my people that this is not just a simple job. This is part of the vision that we defined, and this is what we just can reach if we do it together. So it means I ask the people for their self motivation, for their. I did not try to push them. I try to draw them in the right direction, and everybody is welcome who is capable to follow this idea.
Great, thank you. It's always good to know. Okay, thank you for this sharing, Mr. Mark. And I invite now Mr. Martin Weiss to share a few words. And since we see you, okay. Since you used to work for a Slovenian company, Herman Soft Lab, right, and later you also collaborated with some Slovenian companies, what are your experiences here? Any common threads that you noticed?
Experiences with working with Slovenes, you mean?
Yes.
Actually, it's the advantage that they speak very good English, that they're very open-minded, and I don't see a big cultural difference between, let's say, Slovene colleagues and Austrian colleagues. You have to understand, I work with Slovene companies and Slovene co-workers for more than 20 years now. So for me, this is more or less second home, right? So Ljubljana, I had times when I was every week in Ljubljana. So I'm very integrated into your, let's say, country.
Great. Also good to hear. Thank you. Maybe if you can just describe yourself, describe yourself in 2 sentences, what would that be?
Describe my work, or I'm not hearing you very well.
Yeah, you with your work.
Okay. Do you want me to take this over now and share some slides?
Yes.
Okay.
Or maybe if Primož has any question, he will jump in.
I will wait. Just continue, Martin.
Yeah, you can just go with the slides.
Do you see that?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So at the end of the day, what we do is we help companies from outside the DACH market, which is Germany, Austria, and Switzerland. We help them to enter the country and sell their software and IT services here. So on one hand, we do the go-to-market strategy, but ultimately we do lead generation for them. So this is highly, let's say, specialized now for software vendors and IT services companies. And we're doing this now for the past 10 years. We are a small company, just 3 people, but meanwhile we served around 50 clients, and a lot of them actually came from Slovenia. So myself, as you said before, I started my international career, if you want to say that, in the year 2001 when I started to work for Comtrade. At that time, it was called Hermes Soft Lab. So I was their international sales rep for Germany, Austria, Switzerland for almost 8 years. And also I was an engineer before. I was a software developer, and that means I treat sales like an engineer. For me, sales is not magic or art. For me, sales is a couple of complex processes, and I try to make these B2B sales more predictable, more repeatable, and also more scalable. So that is the whole purpose of why we do lead generation for our clients, to get this in a more systematic way. So when we do business, it's less about personal relationships, it's more about the value proposition of your offer when we help you to enter the Austrian market. Here you see on the bottom line, you see a couple of Slovene companies we helped in the previous 10 years to enter and to work the German-speaking market. There is also, I don't know if you recognize, there is a company Via. That company is from Celje. I don't know who knows them. Part of the Collector Group, by the way. NIL is based in Ljubljana, IT services company. I think you probably know them. It's one of the biggest IT companies in Slovenia, but also recognized internationally. So they do a lot of projects internationally, not just in Austria and Germany, but also in Africa, in Latin America, and so on. So this is about myself and about BizExpand. What I want to give you something, not just about myself and the company. Primož asked me I should prepare something for you guys, what you can prepare when you want to export your business to a non-domestic market. What do you need to do to set up a go-to-market strategy? And my learning is you need to have product market fit. That means your product needs to fit a particular market segment. What does that mean? People, they should have a need for your offer. It's not just you created something great, but you also need to identify who needs it most. And there is a difference. Not every company is similar. So you have to think about what is my offer? What is the target group I would like to sell it to? And the target group or a market segment is not just the geography. It is probably the industry, the vertical, particular buyer personas. So that means which type of persons want that most? Who values my offer most? And if you have identified that, or at least came up with a good assumption, then you need to apply the right messages. That means you cannot expect that just by showing your product to a foreign customer, that he understands immediately the values of your product for him. You have to tell him. And that here, there is a big difference between early adopters and, let's say, late majority. An early adopter, you just show your product. You show him your innovation, and he understands it immediately how he can use it. Even he understands it more than you do. But when you sell to non-early adopters, you have to articulate the value proposition. And that is so crucial. That is 10 times more important than if you reach out over email, over the phone, over LinkedIn. Those are tactics and channels. Yes, you have to play it well, but if you suck with a good value proposition, no channel, no tactics can help you to gain new clients outside of Slovenia. Another thing I would like to make you aware of is that ultimately there are only 3 reasons how purchases are made. Intentionally, everybody wants to buy local. whatever we have in mind, we want to buy local as long as this is possible. If we cannot buy it local, then we typically try the other extreme, which is where can I buy something cheap? This works in private, but this is also works in business. Our second thought is always, where can I buy it cheap? And then we find out, okay, I cannot buy it local because the local offer is not what I want. I could buy it cheap, but the risk is too high to buy it cheap. So you can buy your next ERP system from Vietnam, and it will be cheaper, but the risk is very high to buy one of your core products on a high risk, and that's not what you want to do. So then you want to buy the best, and the best is then a very, let's say, global approach. And then, so what I'm trying to say here is, when you would like to sell non-domestic, you have to be the best for something. And it could be that you're a little bit cheaper, but this will not help you because as the other presenter said, there will be always somebody who is cheaper than you. So you have to position yourself as the best. The best is relative. The buyer persona defines what is best for him, maybe even based on his previous experiences. But the good thing is, you as salespeople, you can influence what it should be the best for him. So you can educate the market what should be best. And don't make the mistake, just because you're successful in Slovenia doesn't automatically mean that with the same value proposition you can be successful outside of Slovenia. That is one of the biggest mistakes and one of the biggest learnings from most of my clients, that the value proposition to non-domestic markets is completely different than your value proposition to the domestic market. So, and also when you imagine that you sell internationally, let's say to Austria, you have local companies you need to compete with, and they are considered as the local heroes. So you suddenly compete against their local companies and also against other global players like you are. And you need to have some differentiators. So I typically say the best hairdresser in Ljubljana probably will not sell his services to Vienna, because we have also good hairdressers here. You can be the best hairdresser in Ljubljana, and that's his value proposition. But this value proposition doesn't work in Vienna because of the local competition. We can buy local if we want. The last thing Primož asked me to prepare is, what is so specific about the German market? And when I say German market, I mean the German-speaking market, which is Austria, Germany, and Switzerland. So what's different? There is not so much difference, but there is slightly a different business culture. And you have to understand that we want to measure things. Germans build stuff. We build cars. We build big machines, right? We are all more or less engineers. Engineers are measuring things, and we are trying to benchmark things against each other. So what does that mean? We are very manufacturing-driven countries, and we are bad buyers and sellers when it comes to services. Why? Because we struggle with measuring services. So one of the advices I have for you is, you need to try to give them some. If you're selling services, it's hard for German buyers to measure the quality of a service. Yes, they can measure it later on, but in the sales process, how can they measure and compare you? Give them some KPIs, even invent some KPIs, just to give numbers what they can in their buyer process, what they can use to compare you. For example, in the IT business, churn of employees is a KPI. Use such KPIs if they work for you. Use that. Make things measurable. That's my biggest advice. What else? German buyers are not the fastest one, so you probably see double the sales cycle. When you sell to US, they make decisions very quickly. If you sell to Germany or to Austria, it takes longer. The advantage is customer loyalty is bigger. That means in US, you get hired and fired. In Austria, not that much. It takes longer to get a new client, but if you get a new client, you have them for longer. You go with him through good times and bad times. Next question I often get is, do you need German-speaking sales? My answer is no. If you find out that German language is a problem in your sales process, then you do something wrong. Because then you try to compete with the locals here. Because if the customer assumes you're like the locals, you just do it cheaper, then they want everything what they get. They want everything from you what they also get from the locals, which includes German language. So when you position yourself as the best, there is no need to come up with German language, German contracts, German law, something like that. So what I'm saying is, no, you don't need German-speaking sales. Do you need a GmbH? No, absolutely not. Only if you want to sell to government or to semi-government. Otherwise, there is no need if you sell services or, for example, software products, software licenses. You don't need to build a German GmbH there. It doesn't help you to become local. You will never be a local company if you're selling out from Slovenia. So I think that's it. In terms of slide deck, I would appreciate any questions from you guys.
Okay, thank you, Martin. I have a lot of questions, but we are a little bit aware about time management, so
okay.
We must go on now. And if somebody has any question for Martin, just do it now. Okay, then go further. Thank you, Martin, for now. Just wait to the end of the conference. Maybe some questions also for you. Mario, you are also with us. Hello, Mario.
Good morning.
You are coming from Klagenfurt, from Celovec. You are also business consultant and investor. And could you briefly describe a little bit about yourself and tell us when you are doing business in the Austria market, what we must take into account when we're doing business with Austrian people?
First of all, dobro jutro and guten Morgen to all. And apologies that I have been late for 2 minutes in the morning. I had to bring my youngest daughter to the dentist as my wife is on a cure treatment in Bad Tatzmannsdorf. So this was a bit of an urgency. And before I forget it at the end, I'm very pleased to meet, at least virtually, Mr. Rudolf Mark, because now at least I do know who is the owner of the huge manufacturing complex aside the A9 in Austria, which I passed over the last year and a half at least 20 times because I am invested in an Upper Austrian company and was dealing business with another one. So to say that, so I'm happy to meet you next time in person if you're there, but that's a different topic. So Primož asked me just to describe me very shortly. Basically, I'm already for 20 years in innovation, high tech, startups, venture capital, and investing. So this is quite some time. And for the first part or half of my career, I was a venture capitalist, first with the leading Austrian technology VC, also doing business in Central and Eastern Europe for already 15 years. And I moved to Ljubljana, Slovenia, almost 13 years or exactly 13 years ago to form the first ICT, so information and communication technology focused venture capital fund for Southeast Europe. Unfortunately, Lehman crisis came, as well as our cornerstone investor, the third largest Slovenian bank, Abanka, which gave an enormous commitment of 10 million euros, didn't keep actually almost to anything, which might be a bit of a point of doing business in Slovenia, as I'm not the only one who suffered from doing in Slovenia or whatsoever. But recently, over the last couple of years, I, after that, switched the sides, and I'm helping building companies actually. And one of my major things is also to help them develop internationally, because I have not only a mechanical engineering background, but studied international business administration in Vienna, France, and London. And languages. Long before I knew I found my destination in investing in venture capital and private equity, I wanted to go basically across the globe. That's why I focused on languages, and that's also why I speak 8 languages fluently or on business level, which is a point that was roughly made also by Mr. Otto, and I totally agree. Communication is one of the biggest challenges, as well as most important success factors in doing business. And I'm not quite on the side of Martin Weiss in English is good enough, because I'm active. I see that Mr. Otto agrees, in particular, not only in German-speaking Europe, but I'm working with Europe also for already almost 2 decades. And I know from several events and venues that anybody from Italy, Spain, France, XU, or whatsoever, at the end of a fatiguing English-speaking business conference, they are all happy if they can speak in their mother tongue. But most of all, business, as well as almost all important decisions in our lives are being taken. We are taking them not with our brain, our mind, which is analyzing them, but with our guts or our heart. And the languages of our heart is usually our mother tongue. So this is not unimportant. So if you can do it in that language, it's always better. Last but not least, I have also a mandate of a large Austrian investor investing up to 50 million equity. So because it's the right time now to invest, I see also the opportunities despite the crisis, because now one can position, or a company can position itself better and stronger in this situation, and maybe acquire another company, or maybe target new opportunities, new markets, etc. Unfortunately, they are not investing in Slovenia, but there needs to be, rather for legal reasons and security reasons, there needs to be a company structure in German-speaking Europe. So this is a very brief description of myself. Primož?
Thank you very much.
Or Andrea?
Yes, Mario, could you describe also how to cooperate with any Slovenian company in penetrating of the Austrian or German market?
Yeah, sorry, I forgot about answering that question. Well, actually, the major things have been described by Martin Weiss already. On one hand, on the other hand, as I've said, I still find it very important that when doing business, at least that's what I'm seeing, and I'm dealing in particular in innovative and high-tech segments, which is actually increasing the complexity of explaining something. So, and describing complex things in a foreign language is difficult for one side and the other, as one will have difficulties to describe it simply and understandably, and the receiver or the receptor, better said, the Austrian or German or Swiss counterpart might also have difficulties. That's from the communication perspective. But on the other hand, you know the SGZ, so SGZ in German, the Slovenska gospodarska zbornica, so the Slovene Business Chamber in Carinthia, which is active already for 30 years and helping Slovene companies to establish operations in Austria. I'm not involved in these kind of operations. Usually, I typically accompany companies over a longer period of time, also operationally in terms of helping them in operations where they lack in competence or to go international. And to come back to Austria in particular, well, everything has been said both from Martin Weiss as well as from Wilhelm Nest, how you have to proceed. And there are lots of institutions where you can go to in order to establish an Austrian limited, which is a GmbH, and stuff like that. As well as I would add to what has Martin said, that yes, you shouldn't do that from the early beginning. You don't have to do that from the early beginning, but first you have to see whether you get some clients, and only if the business is viable, then I would do that next step. And with the local representation is much easier. You have plenty of Slovenian companies who have done that. Yeah, and as I've just said, as I've just seen in the chat, I made a small mistake. Obviously, it's not the Slovenska gospodarska zbornica, which is the Slovenian one, but the Slovenska gospodarska zveza. Obviously, it's a Z at the end, so it's the zveza and not the G. Yeah.
Okay, Mario, we will prepare some additional question maybe later on, because we will go now to join Mr. Jernej Dvoršak from Babek. Jernej, you are with us?
I'm here. Hello.
Hello, and Jernej, nice to meet you again. Could you make maybe a short presentation, your Babek Center, and maybe you could describe maybe how companies from Slovenia can join or open a company or subsidiary in your center and so on.
Thank you for the invitation. So I was born and raised in Ljubljana, and 3 years ago I fell in love in a girl from Carinthia. So then that actually brought me to Klagenfurt. So now I'm here and try to find and support investors from abroad so they can set their foot on Carinthia as soon as possible and as easy as possible. So I started my career in a Slovene-German Chamber of Commerce, where we support a German company in Slovenian market and vice versa. And then I continued my career in the Office of Slovenian Prime Minister, where we supported a couple of investors. For example, you most probably know Yaskava and Magna. So those were two big companies where there was really a strong battle for the two investors between neighboring countries or countries from the region. So at that time I learned how to support investors, or better said, what the investors are looking for and what their demands are, what their demands look like. So today I would like to present you the business location of Carinthia first, talk about the opportunities the local branches offer to Slovenian companies, and then maybe talk about best or worst practice, so to say. So allow me to share my screen. Freigeben. You see my, or not yet? For example,
we have some problem here now with the voice.
Voice.
Yes.
Okay. That's, should
It's an echo or something.
That's an echo. Maybe somebody hasn't.
It's okay. It's okay now.
On the what I say lake, which is actually the biggest lake in Carinthia. But there are also other sectors that are, let's say, at the moment even more important than the tourism. So the two biggest one are definitely microelectronics and ICT, followed by engineering, or better said, machine construction. And then we also have a couple of important and big companies in wood construction and wood processing sector, followed by
We do have some technical problems.
Renewables. Okay. Has his microphone on?
Okay, now again. Yeah.
You can hear me again. Okay.
Okay.
So I don't know how much. Those are the most important. Yeah. The best thing about let's say geographical categories of all the sectors is that they're quite focused. For example, the blue box where you see microelectronics in Villach, there are a couple of big players in this, let's say, in this region, and then we have renewables that are situated around or in the Sankt Veit an der Glan. And in the red box, for example, you can see Volkermarkt with its plastic and yeah, let's say plastic sector. There are a couple of R&D centers where companies get or develop. I just important ones. Human is being researched on in Ionium Research Lakeside Park, and the biggest, let's say, the biggest in Austria. With three locations, one of them is in Villach with its focus on smart sensors and power electronics. Let's say big players or small companies can get this. Let's say so beautiful. What say in the back here, I have already pictures and from. So actually, ICT technology, and I'll just show based in the park. At the moment, around 70 is actually growing every year, and then we have 4 research institutes, and on the right side you can see the university. And now you can imagine how all those different let's say categories of economy are changing the ideas. This is actually a place to be when you want to be innovative in ICT sector. And that's not all. We also built educational labs, so we can inspire younger generations, children, about let's say the topics of the future. Speaking about, let's say, mathematics, chemistry, robotics, mechatronics, and so on. Also, we have a startup incubator who is actually helping young entrepreneurs with setting their foot on market with a broad network. So this is actually a great jumping board to the market. And we also have the biggest flying hole in Europe. Unfortunately, this is an old photo, but you could see a big hole where the Institute for Robotics and Mechatronics is sitting, and also there is a 10-meter high flying hall for drones equipped with cameras and all fancy machinery. So the institutes like Lakeside Labs can work on swarm intelligence. So imagine you have 10 drones that have to scan the area. So they're flying over the field, and let's say one of those 10 drones runs out of battery, and then all the 9 drones connect with and communicate with each other, of course, autonomously, and do the task. And this all with the Lakeside Park with 5G playground. So all the companies can develop their projects and products already on the next generation of network. So on this photo, you can see a factory of Infineon. This is actually the biggest new fab with technology of 300 millimeter wafers. So they're producing micro or smart cards and so on. Lots of new jobs, smaller companies. They have to stay close to Infineon. So this is also, let's say, a big opportunity for Slovenian companies, because as you probably know, Slovenia has a very well-developed microelectronic sector with different companies from, let's say, rapid prototyping and so on. So, for example, since we have the Brexit at the moment, or we had Brexit, Indian companies, for example, see Europe differently. So before, UK was the main market for, let's say, Indian investors, but now in intensive research for investment in India, for example. So Infineon every in the market. So I was talking about Brexit. Now we have Corona. Corona is also, let's say, people. So with different tools how to find investors, and you just have to offer the right. So example, which is micro silicon cluster for companies that are, let's say, as you can see, the big producers are, let's say, searching for new companies with new solutions. Startups are very more than welcome here. So definitely you can Google for Silicon Apps Cluster and take a look at what do they offer. So this was a short presentation about Carinthia. Maybe if there are some questions, I would be more than happy to answer them at the moment.
Please, if you have any questions for Mr. Dvoršak. Okay, so I would want to ask you, could you give some advice how to approach the Austrian companies in business terms? Maybe use different techniques, attitudes, methods. What's your opinion?
I have, let's say, lots of contact with companies that are trying to approach Austrian market. So let's say we talk on the telephone, they're describing the company, saying how much energy they already have invested in searching for new clients. And simultaneously, I already opened their internet page and take a look at it, and I see how it's built. Lots of companies don't even have their internet page in German language. Lots of companies do have it in German, but okay, I'm not it's not my mother tongue, but I can say what German is good and good from the marketing point of view and grammatically correct. And there is really lots of not such a good practice in the market where companies are just not paying attention to let's say how the client sees the company, from how the client sees the company. So always try to see yourself from the client point of view, through his eyes. Try to imagine how did you step in contact with the companies. For example, at the moment there are quite a few tries with LinkedIn tools. So companies are using LinkedIn tools, doing some, let's say, campaigns where they can reach potential clients. And do they measure the impact, or do they measure how successful those tools are? If you get redirected from the LinkedIn chat to your internet page, does the client come to your German page or to the Slovenian one, for example? So this also opens the question, should you open an Austrian company to be, let's say, an Austrian entity? Speakers before me already opened this topic. So I say there is no answer you can say what's better. Depends on your business, right? If you are constantly looking for new clients, you're definitely most probably gonna need an Austrian company. But if you only need, let's say, 3 clients you do constantly business with, you can also do it over your Slovenian company, because Austrian companies are loyal, like it was already said, and they definitely appreciate quality, which definitely is present here in the Slovenian market. So this is definitely to be said. Yes.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Dvoršak. I just open the session for questions. Mr. Wilhelm Nest, you have on chat, you have one question for Mr. Vladimir. You see that question?
I think we need to read it.
Okay, then Andrea, read to Mr. Nest the question of Mr. Vladimir.
There's Mr. Vladimir is asking if there are some material or financial incentives to spur up small business in Austria. I have heard that in Vienna area, the entrepreneurs get some support from the community, especially when they want to start up their business. So, and inside here,
microphone, Mr. Nest, microphone.
Sorry. So now you can hear me. Well, let's say it depends on the province where you have plans to invest, and well, it's like in the case of Jerne with Babek in Carinthia. They know best about the financial opportunities and subsidies in their area. I'm not have to admit I'm not that familiar with those subsidies, but the incentive sometimes is not in a financial way, but in giving a hand with finding the right piece of land for a business. That's the way the Austrians work, actually.
Well, if I may add to that, actually in Vienna you have the same thing as in Carinthia. Just in Vienna it's the Wiener Wirtschaftsagentur, and they are quite active in attracting not only international investors but also companies, and in particular high-tech and young companies, and they have several programs in that regard. And Vienna is a stronghold, not only a hub, but a stronghold in medical technology, in pharma, for example. And there's also the Health Hub Vienna, for example, which I was able to initially conceptualize within it, which is one of the leading global university business incubators. So to cut a long story short, you can approach Vienna Business Agency, how it's called in English, in this regard if you want to go to Vienna. But the question on the other hand is, has it to be Vienna and what are the benefits, etc.? Because what I suggest to Slovenian or ex-EU companies is to consider also practicability and their costs. So for a Slovenian company, it might be easier in the first step to establish a company if it has or subsidiary in Carinthia, because for them it's 1 hour drive, and you have the support, as I've said, from Slovenska-Gospodarska zveza, from Jernej, from the Babek, etc. And maybe it's easier for the beginning, and this can be the door opener for German-speaking Europe or the DACH market.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you very much on my behalf too, sir. Thank you.
Okay. What about the others? You have any questions?
You can raise hands or...
Maybe I invite also Mr. Daniel Schumey from West Alpine. Mr. Schumey, you are still online?
Yes, I'm still online.
Yes. Could you maybe express your view about what we're talking about today?
Yes, I must say that I'm glad that I was able to be a part of this webinar, that I heard a lot of new informations. I must say that I am employed in West Alpine. I'm working for Austrian company, and I'm trying to cover the Slovenia and ex-Yugoslavian markets with our product palette, which is produced in West Alpine Krems Finaltechnik in Krems. It is the daughter company from West Alpine concern from Linz, and we are trying to do our best to come to Slovenian and other ex-Yugoslavian markets. I think that this information which I got from this seminar is excellent for me, and I hope that we are going to be able also in the future to have such opportunities to meet new people, to hear experiences from the others, because I think that business is a two-way road. We are selling to Slovenia, and also the Slovenian companies are trying to connect with the potential partners in Austria and to sell as our products and services.
Thank you. I also invite Mr. Andreas Hren from Slovenska-Gospodarska zveza from Celovec, who is also with us. Mr. Hren, you are still with us?
Yes, I am still with you. I'm very sorry. Yeah.
Yeah. Could you tell us a little bit about the thing that also Mario Rasha mentioned about the Slovenska-Gospodarska zveza could help Slovenian companies to enter the market in Austria?
Well, one of our main tasks is being the Slovene Business Club in Austria, which means that every company from Slovenia, not only our members, can come to us for first-hand information about all the necessary information we need to enter the Austrian market. If we don't know it ourselves, we know some specialist who does, and that usually both in Slovene as well in another language. So that's actually the big advantage here, that you don't need to figure out, okay, how are the taxes now with somebody, and then you don't understand half of the specific terms and so on. This is the big added value which we can offer.
Okay, thank you. Andrea, you have some questions for our guests?
Maybe just for Mr. Mario, I can. You speak and you're good in communications, outstanding communicator. You speak 8 languages. And what would you say is an outstanding business communication when trying to reach a deal?
One, it's a challenging question. Nevertheless, I would come back to what mentioned Jerne. Actually, this is a very important topic which I advised also recently Slovenian companies. So, if you're dealing business in Austria or position yourself as Austrian or German company, the minimum requirement is that your website is in German, because, as Jerne said, you have to put yourself into the shoes of the customer, and that's very easy. You can think yourself, if you are the buyer, what would you require from the other side? So, meaning you have to make the process and communication initially as simple as possible. In these days, not only since Corona, websites and Google search and search engine optimization and social media marketing and stuff like that, these are things which don't cost a lot, but they have to be done nowadays, because this is the first touching point. Long before someone is getting in touch directly with you, they are looking for products. And as Martin Weiss said correctly, obviously, if you have something very, very special, so an outstanding product and no competition, which obviously in 99.5% of the cases is not the case, because on the other hand, if there is no competition, there's usually also no market. Just if you just invented something totally new and patented it, then it's new. But besides that, this is a very important thing. And also, if you have a German website, it's, I would say, rather counterproductive if it's German, but with lots of mistakes and bad German, because this is rather showing non-professionalism and non-quality. You can have the best product, but no one will believe you if you're not able even to have your website in shape or in high quality, you know? So this is from my perspective an important thing. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Martin,
Yes.
Martin, you have something. Oh, Mr. Otto.
Mr. Mark, yeah, has something to say.
Microphone.
The microphone is
to follow Mario. I absolutely agree with him. This is one maybe of the biggest mistakes Slovenian companies can make to approach German-speaking companies. They need for minimum a website which is high quality. I very often looking on websites, they are really lousy. That German is maybe Google Translate or whatever, and you never can work with things like that. And my opinion is it's absolutely necessary to have salespeople being able to speak German. Beside, you are maybe in the IT business. There is English, the international language, but all the other fields, I guess that it's necessary to speak German.
Thank you.
I think it's not just to add something here, because I sense there is some quite dispute about the language thing, which I actually appreciate, because I'm coming from the IT side, and for me for my clients, this is not an issue, but I understand you think, oh my God, sure, they need to speak German. So I think it's on one hand about the industry, and on the other hand about the maturity of a company or how international they are. So I'm used to sell to mid-size and large-size enterprises. They are all internationally business, so they have to speak English to sell their products and services. And that's why they are able to buy in English and to negotiate in English.
Yeah, you might be right, but if the companies have the choice, they will ask the German-speaking guy.
Absolutely. My thing is just, I didn't say you should not speak German. I said, is this the first thing what you should do? Find a German-speaking sales guy? No. Is founding a GmbH the first thing what you should do? No. That was my message to the audience.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Also like to the other people to make such a question or proposal or something like that. Do you have everyone? Just do it now. It's a chance.
It's now or never.
Yeah, we have one, Ludwig Vog.
Yeah, hello to everybody. Ludwig Vog. I'm representing two companies actually. I'm executive director in company Nior, which is a steel tool industry. We are making tools for the pipe production and profiles production. And on the other side, we are the ETRA is another company who is actually very familiar with the let's say 0.0 is one of the major topics which is giving us let's say occupation, and on the other side also automated production lines, let's say from the tracking in the warehouses and so on and so on. This product which we have in ETRA is like we are targeting, of course, to the German and Austrian. Have some good contacts there, just for example, or Steam. Of course, in Nior, because we are also a supplier of those tools. What I noticed in the last, let's say, 1 year, is that companies, especially on the field of special roads, they're looking for some internal reserves. This is the maintenance area, which is, let's say, usually the first one in companies where they are looking for some savings. So we are finding that the market is let's say not nervous but careful. They're just looking for some internal reserves and to wait with bigger investments, which gives us some gray hairs or some hair falling out from the heads. So continuing with our strategy to be better in some fields, to create our own trademark, which we find very important, and of course, like it was said a few times, very important message, the website, the presentation, how you're able to convince someone that you're better from the others. So this is what I wanted to share with others, and maybe one question to the or ask organizers. Please share all the contact details about from the guests to all of us, because I think the inbox will be full with our messages. Thanks a lot.
Okay, we will share the contact also to the participants, so you could also then answer maybe a little bit later. Mario, you have one thing more?
No, it was just putting silent, but nevertheless, I can add to that what was saying Ludwig. Actually, I wanted to say that before already. A very important thing is to convey your message, what is very special in your product, and that's what I'm seeing over 20 years already. So the majority of people have difficulties to convey what they are doing, or the specialty of the product, or the uniqueness. Almost anybody can do that. That's what I've learned, but this is very essential. So if you are able to put that on your website already, how you're different, how you're better, because also your example, if you have a software for warehouse, I mean, there are millions of softwares like that, and if you have something which is really so much better, then you have to point it out and communicate it well. And this is the biggest challenge for my experience for any technology company. Yeah, and these are things also what I'm helping companies to do, to position themselves uniquely and stuff like that, and et cetera, et cetera. But this is essential for anybody, and this should be visible already on the website, because this is the first barrier to entry. They might have bought something from you, if that is great, and if that is compelling, to put it that way, and then they will approach you only. But if it's not, then they move to the next one, because they have plenty, a huge choice.
Okay, I think that we must end now the conference, because the time is on. Andrea, thank you from my side for the speakers, for the audience, And Andrea, you could finish now the conference.
Well, I also am thanking the speakers for presenting and giving us a good knowledge and wisdom to share your experiences and to really join us here online. I hope that everybody who joined today will take away some new information. And since we started with the question, how are you feeling from 1 to 5, now I want to know, how are you living this webinar? Like, I don't know, do you have, woohoo! Okay, 4, 5, good. We have some, I would say, good takeaway. So we contact with you because I know that was a question also from Vladimir, and maybe presentations. This Primož will tell if we can share. And I'm wishing all of you a nice afternoon today, nice day on. And for those who have sun, please go to the sun, send some sun our way that we don't have sun. And thank you for joining us again. Hope we'll see, next time we'll see live in person and share also human contact live, which is also a good way. Thank you, everybody, and enjoy.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Auf Wiedersehen.
Bye.